She is one of my favorites. I absolutely adore her, and you do not want to miss this. This next amazing businesswoman is Jessica Morales. She is the owner and CEO of Aura Bazaar Retail Stores. Come on now, make some noise for my girl, Jessica Morales.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. How you guys doing today? Okay, I know it's cold. The heat's in the bathroom. I found the heat. So just in case you guys need to know that, I wanted to give you some tidbits there. So as Shabria mentioned, my name is Jessica Morales. I'm the owner and CEO of Aura Bazaar, the proud owner of that bazaar. And we started a little bit over 10 years ago with a small clothing boutique, plus size boutique in Chicago, Illinois. And recently we have branched out. We've been in multiple malls throughout the Chicagoland area. And we recently branched out to 2 stores. We currently have a store in Yorktown Shopping Center in Lombard, Illinois, and here in Indiana at South Lake Mall. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I always love speaking at events like this for entrepreneurs because, just being around the energy and all the ideas and the peoples and the business, you just get energized and re-energized to hear the story. And I'm gonna call her Dr. Hopkins or Hoskins because she was dropping some gems, wasn't she? I was sitting there and working my booth and I wanted a cup of coffee. I couldn't even leave my booth to go get a cup of coffee because I'm working in the business and not on the business. So she was really dropping some gems, and we're going to be talking about a lot of the same things and some of the same principles that she mentioned as well, but very inspiring. So I started thinking about what did I want to write about, right? What am I going to talk about in this event? And I talked to my sister and I said, Jenny, what do you think I should talk about up there on the stage? And she was like, show them what they don't see in social media. Show them about the process, show them about the struggles, talk to them. You always have your social media pictures with like, hey, I'm a business owner, this is going great, we're making sales, but about the process and the struggles that you have. So I did. I started talking a lot about my processes and talking about some of the issues that I had. Some of the stories that the same thing that Dr. Hoskins mentioned about being broke, being evicted from my home. My mom was 18 years old when she left her country in South America because she was pregnant with me, not speaking English, went to the United States and had me in Florida to give me a better life. And we grew up as a single mother, broke, evicted. I had my lights cut off. I had my gas cut off. There was a sense of abandonment because I didn't know my father. So those are a lot of the struggles that I started writing about that fueled some of my entrepreneurship and why I wanted to do better for the next generation. So I started writing some of these stories down, and I presented I did a rough draft to a few of the people that I'm familiar with, like friends and families, and I started talking about these stories. And then I paused, and I'm like 45 minutes in, I'm like, hey, what do you guys think? How's the speech going? And they're like, damn, Jessica, we know you've been through the struggle, but when are you gonna get to the part of the process and how you survive that? And it was kind of an aha moment because at that point it was like, a lot of the times that we live in the past, right? We live in the past and some of the struggles, and we don't plan for the future. We have ourselves as our own barriers of some of the struggles that we have and not planning for the future. So thank you to my friends for making me cut the speech because you guys would have been crying and would have been like, oh my God, this is boring, let me get out of here. So let's talk about the business. So when I was talking about some of the foundation of my story and just how some of the struggles that I had, my first view of entrepreneurship was my parents. They had their own business. They had a beeper and cell phone business for about 16 years. And so I lived the life of being with an entrepreneur. So the roller coasters of being broke one day and then having good days. I remember my parents going to the store for 12-hour days and coming home with $5 and not being home with the family. But something that they always did was made sure that we had a nice holiday or a nice Christmas, and there was always presents under the tree. But with that, we never got what you wanted. You never got what you asked Santa Claus for. So when we would ask for Santa for gifts or something like that, it will always be the bootleg version. So me and my sister, because we were broke, we didn't have money. So we would ask for like Barbie and Ken, and instead we would get like Barbara and Carl, the bootleg version from the dollar store. And back then we were used to being broke and being poor and not getting what we needed, being on welfare and everything like that. But we had those memories, our family that we shared. We had our family, we made it through with that. And now I can be on stage talking to you guys about it and just kind of laughing about it now. So the first view of my entrepreneurship was being entrepreneurship, like I mentioned, was seeing my parents doing it. So I always had an itch to open a business. So even though they struggled, there was always something intriguing about them saying, I own a business, I'm an entrepreneur. There's a pride behind that. And as I grew older and I started working a corporate job, building my family, having a husband, working 9 to 5, I got a house, I had a dog. There was still a little itch that you had that you wanted to do something more. There was something more to life than just having a 9 to 5. So at that time, my husband and I, we looked at different businesses that we wanted to open. So we looked at laundromats. We looked at rehabbing homes. We looked at different ways to get a business. We even looked at Little Caesars, having a Little Caesars, because 10 years ago, you can get a Little Caesars for a small entrance fee. But we never pushed forward because we were scared. We were scared that we were going to fail. There was a lack of faith there. I couldn't step out of faith. And I was scared going back to my past of being broke and not having money. And I didn't want to put my family in that situation. But I tell you, if 10 years ago, when I was looking into these businesses, I would have stepped out on faith, right now you guys would be getting free pizza right now because I would have been rich with all these Little Caesars. But no, it's not happening that way. So I'm like, I know I want to open up a business. I know what I want to do. I just don't know what I want to do. So I've always been into fashion. I've always liked fashion, but I always struggled with finding things to fit my body. Back 10 years ago, and even now, it's still difficult to find stuff to fit your body if you're bigger than a size 10. So I would always go to the little neighborhoods and the boutique areas in the Chicagoland area and shop with my friends, and I couldn't fit anything. I would buy the hats, the shoes, the accessories, but I couldn't find any clothes to fit my body. So I had this one night where I went to a wedding, and I went to Lane Bryant because those were the only stores that you can go to 10 years ago. Lane Bryant and Ashley Stewart. And as you guys know, that caters to more mature women if you're going to church, if you're going to work, not for a 20-year-old that's in fashion, that wants to get out. So I bought this cute little black dress. You know the dress. It's a black dress with a belt, with some ruffles. It's in every Lane Bryant forever. I brought the dress, styled it the best I could. I went to the wedding. I sat down. I looked across the hall, the banquet. The other plus-size girl at the wedding had my dress on. And guys are like, what's the big deal? Guys are like, oh, that's cool. But for women, that's death by 1,000 cuts to see someone in your dress in the same event. And I hope that doesn't happen today, but if it did, or a bazaar's in the back to get you, so that's a gem right there. Always plug your business. So that night or the day after that embarrassing day, I said, there's a problem. There's a gap in the market where women over the size of 10 cannot find clothing that is outside Lane Bryant and Ashley Stewart, and I am going to open a plus-size boutique. And guess where I opened it? I opened it into the same place that I was shopping that I couldn't find the clothing in the Wicker Park area, Chicagoland area. Yes, that's a round of applause. I had bad memory. I was hanging out with Miss Hoskins with that lemon drop, so we're a little lit yesterday. So I was working my 9-to-5 job, right? And then I took my income tax. I had a little income tax, about $2,500. I got a little bonus from work. I forgot it was like $2,500. But I have $5,000, and I said, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna fund my business. So I got a name, looked at the area, rented a spot. And back then, like I said, there was nowhere you can go to buy some of these clothing. So I did some research and followed some bloggers that were in the curvy community or the plus size community, and they were shopping overseas and the UK in Paris because that's the fashion capital of the world. Paris and Europe, they get their fashion first, then it comes over here to the States. And I took that money, found a location, and then I opened up my business. I got my friends and family to help me. So like everyone you see here, they were cleaning the floors, they were helping put up racks. You know, I stayed within the budget, and then I went out and started marketing. And and this is no lie to you guys, I Googled plus size Chicago, and anything that popped up that was related to plus size and fashion, I went to that event and I marketed and tried to get people to come to my event for my grand opening. And I went to every fashion show. Don't forget, I'm still working 9 to 5. I went to every fashion show. I went to every event. I went to passing out cards to have them come to our grand opening. And the grand opening was amazing. So I started doing the business. You know, I'm excited. I'm making sales. I'm like, oh, this is easy. I should have did this a long time ago. Back to the Little Caesar story, right? But then I started working in my business instead of outside my business. I was working for 5 years, going to my day job, then leaving that job and driving to the city in the middle of rush hour to close the store. I only had one employee, which was my mom. And on the weekends, my life revolved about, back then it was Blair Chic Boutique. And I wasn't moving the dial. I wasn't making profit. I was barely making it in the green. And my day job was funding a lot of the business. So things had to change. But as entrepreneurs, you know, we don't want to fail. So we keep pushing, we keep doing the same thing over and over again, even though it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, and we don't want to assess our business and look at our model because we don't want to fail, because it's bigger than us, right? We're not entrepreneurs just because we want to say we're entrepreneurs. We're entrepreneurs because we're trying to make a change. We're trying to push and provide ownership for the next generation. And we want to give generational wealth to the next generation. We want our family to be successful. And I was doing the opposite. I was working in my business every day and I wasn't able to stay with my family. I was missing family time. I was going through a divorce. I didn't have time to spend with my son, and I wasn't making money, but I didn't want to quit. I was stubborn. So after 5 years, I said, I have to change. I need to move to a different location. I went to look at a different location, and I was denied after 5 years in business because I was a first generation business. I was too risky to provide a lease or a loan, And they said, we can't do it for you after being 5 years in business. So I had a breakdown. I was my unhealthiest, I was the heaviest weight that I've ever been. I wasn't making money. My marriage was in shambles. I wasn't spending time with my son. I failed, and I stepped back. So I went back to my cookie cutter life of my 9-to-5 job, and there was still something in my spirit that did not let me go of that business. I don't know if you guys ever feel this as entrepreneurs, and especially with the retail, the boutique owners, it's always something that just brings you back to the store, even when you try to leave. You can't leave the entrepreneurial spirit. It's something that wants you to push for your business. And like I talk, it's usually about family and providing something else for your family. So I started looking at my business model. I closed the store. I closed it. And I was still paying rent for the store, still working my 9-to-5. And I started looking at my business model. And this is a nugget that I'm going to give you guys. The irony now was that people were coming into my boutique that were not plus size, that wanted to buy my clothes, but they couldn't fit the clothing because they were too small. And so I had to turn away customers because they didn't fit my plus size clothing. So, and people were telling me, Jess, you need to expand to all sizes. You're turning away money. But my stubbornness, my pride was like, no, I'm a plus size community till I die, And I was losing money and it was walking away. So that nugget right there is make sure that you listen to your customer base. Listen to your customers. If they're telling you they don't like your product, if they're telling you it's too expensive, if they're asking you for if you have a jacket and they want a long jacket, make sure that you're listening to your customer base and make those adjustments for your model if you can. So I extended to all sizes. Yes, I can style Shabria now. Yes. I also did some rebranding with the name. So it was Blair Chic Boutique, and I kind of streamlined that. And remember, my store is closed, but I had to step away from the business to be able to assess it, look at what my customers was telling me, look at what was working and wasn't working, because I couldn't do another 5 years of doing the same thing and not making any money. It didn't make sense. But I will tell you, when I had my store on Ashland, I did every event possible. I was marketing. I would do all the fashion shows. I would be at all the pop-ups, anything that I can do to market my business, because social media wasn't as present as it is now. We only had Facebook at that time. And I don't even want to tell my age, but even some MySpace was up in there. So it was different than it is now. You guys remember MySpace? I heard someone say, yeah. Man, but when I was denied for that space, I was broken. And it made me go back to the pride that my parents have of having the ownership and breaking that generational curse. And I told myself that I would never hear that again, that the future generation, my son, my nieces and my nephew will never be denied once again for being a first generational business. And that was what drove my fire to keep going, even without making money. So my business is closed. I started to rebrand, looking at the business model, as has been talked about a lot, assessing the data, looking at everything there. And then one of my boutique owner colleagues, and I want to stress on that because, I'm looking at the crowd and we have a whole bunch of boutiques here. And we have to get out of the mindset that these boutiques are your competition. They're not your competition. This is your community. This is your collaboration. If you make one sale today, it might be from another boutique owner. And you have to make sure that you network and you build on that. If you all have the same jacket, You got to find a way to step apart from it, share the community, look into sharing some of the product and destashing and working together. It's something that I learned and that has grown with me for the past 10 years. So always don't look at other boutiques or other businesses or industry as your competitors. Look at a way of how you can build them and build a community together. Yes. So one of my boutique friends, colleagues, invited me to a pop-up at a mall. And she said, Jess, there's a mall, Old Orchard Mall in Chicago, 16 boutiques, one store, one collaborative. We'll share the overhead expense. You can sell your product there and save some of the overhead expense. And are you interested in joining? And without hesitation, I said yes. And that changed the landscape of my business, where I was able to move to the mall space instead of the retail space, the small boutique space. That changed me from a boutique to a mall realtor, and it was able to change the traffic of the customers that I was getting in. It taught me the operations of working with the malls and how to get licenses and temp spaces. And then I was also able to collaborate with other boutiques and be able to learn from them and vice versa. So once again, instead of being competitive and going against these boutiques, we became a community and we all made money at the same time. So keep that in mind as you're going your business. Now, I would lie to you and say that it's always peaches and cream working with 16 other boutiques and women. It's not always nice. So there are some cons to some of it being in collaborative, like losing some of your ownership. And that's one of the reasons that I had to step out of the collaborative and branch out to my own space. But I've been in 6 different malls, and like I said, in Chicagoland area. And I left a few collaboratives when I started working my strategies and my ideas for another business, which wasn't my own. So then it took me away from my branding and the ownership, of which is one of the reasons why I had the stores. So I stepped away. I went to one collaborative, it didn't work. I went to another collaborative, it didn't work. I did a third collaborative. I ignore red flags, as you can see. And I tried it one more time, and after the third collaborative, I was like, okay, Jess, you need to go back to your roots. And that's how I branched out and I opened the first store in Yorktown Center. And now we have 8 different malls that are looking to have Aura Bazaar expand into. Yes, such a blessing, amazing. And like I told you with my story, I don't have a degree. I was broke. I didn't know. I just had that fuel and fire that everyone here has, that spirit that God says that there's more that you need to do than just work a 9 to 5. I'm not telling you to quit your job though, like the first speaker was talking about that. So I don't know about all that, but yeah. So there's 3 things, 3 pillars. If you ever look at different entrepreneurs or business owners that they follow, and it might be worded differently, and you heard it today. People, team. You know, we kind of talked about collaborative, but it's really important that you have a team that's surrounded around you, people around you that are the foundation of your business. If you are to leave your table, like right now, you can't even leave your table. If you were to leave your table, the person that's representing your brand has to know your people, has to know what your brand is about. So it's very important that the people that are working for you and representing your brand are aligned with that vision. And if you only have a team of 1, then it's you, then you have to make sure that you're following those best practices. That if you're selling that that product, or if you're selling that customer service, you have to represent your brand and then teach the people around you. You heard earlier, and I agree, making sure that you listen to your customers, like I mentioned, making sure you have a good network around you of people, finding a mentor, finding a mentor to be able to share some of the information that they've done and their experiences. Brand loyalty. I have customers of when I opened 10 years ago that are still customers of mine today and friends. Making sure that you're going back to your brand loyalty, listening to your customers, treating them well. The people that are spending money with you, you give them that extra hat, that extra perfume, that extra body butter, that extra exclusive to your ebook. Making sure you take care of the customers that support your brand. It's easier to keep your returning customers than to acquire new customers. I could talk about this for hours. I'm going to cut it short by a couple more pillars because I love talking about business strategies. Process is the second thing. Your operations, you heard about it. You heard about it in different terms. Systems. What is the playbook of your business? Once again, if you were to leave your table, if you were to get sick, how can you have someone help you run your business? What is the product about? How are you pricing it? So all of that of having a playbook for your business is very important. And it's very important that you're looking at an omni-channel for your business. So right now, if you're strictly online, you need to look on how to get in stores. As we mentioned, events like this where you're able to network, reaching out to retailers and trying to get your stuff. And you should be in every pop-up store, every market, anywhere that you can get your business to be able to showcase a product, because it's not enough to just be online anymore. And vice versa. It's not enough for you just to have a store. You have to have both avenues. You have to have the omni-channel for your product to be sold. One of the biggest brands like Louis Vuitton, Ralph Lauren, they are currently buying space on the online world. If you go on 2K, if your kids play 2K, Nike has purchased space on that game for them to style their basketball player. If your kids play Roblox, they're actually buy space on there so they can style, I don't know what the robot's called, but they styled it. So the market is turning into where you need to have both worlds. You'll never lose the mall traffic. You'll always have that traditional space of customers and family coming to the mall traffic. But we lost that when we had the pandemic. I lost everything when the pandemic came because I had to close the mall. And then you had to focus on online. So for scaling your business and when you're looking to try to follow those pillars, making sure that you have the omni-channel and balancing both of them, they're very important. And now you have all the tools and you have all the platforms. It's more than Facebook and MySpace. You have TikTok, you have Pinterest, you have YouTube, you have Facebook, you have, the Shines just got me on Twitter. We got Twitter. You have to leverage all these aspects on the online channel, all these platforms. You have to be on them to stand apart from other people. Process, going back to process and operation, analyzing your business. So it took me 5 years to sit down and look at my business to realize that I was turning money away and not making money. Really, you should be doing that on a monthly basis, even on a weekly basis, looking at your numbers and seeing what are my customers buying, what they're not buying. When you're purchasing product, especially as the boutique owners, and this is something I do, I get excited and I just start buying all the hot stuff. Oh, I'm buying this, I'm buying this, I'm buying this. Yeah, this is gonna sell out. No, you have to be disciplined, put a budget, and have a curated collection, and make it exclusive so it sells out just like Nike does when they release their shoes. You want to have a small selection, a capsule collection like all the big brands do. That helps you with selling out some of your product. Then I would go into the third thing that I would talk about is product. And once again, this has been talked about earlier, but knowing your costs, your pricing, your markup, your profit margin. And I heard some amazing questions earlier. I was even taking notes. But if you're manufacturing something, you need to know how much it's costing you. So if you're manufacturing this microphone, you need to know how much the top costs, how much it is to put the lettering, how much it is for the plug, how much is the labor, how much is the shipping, how much is your packaging, all the prices to get it to the shelf or your website. And then you have to make sure that you're marking up appropriately. You can't make everything on discount. You can't put everything on sale because you're not gonna make money. You're gonna be like me for 5 years, working for 5 years, hustling, and still trying to make ends meet. You have to trust your product and your pricing and price it appropriate based on what your customers are saying. And sometimes your customers are not your customers. If the customers are not willing to pay what you want, you need to go to a different market and find your customer base. That's very important. And the same thing if you're not manufacturing something, it's also if you're buying something like from a distributor. Budget, all the boring stuff. This is all the boring stuff, okay? But this is really good. Budget, write out a budget every month. Forecast, you heard that a lot. Forecasting your business, like you can't, right now, Aura Bazaar is forecasting for second quarter of 2023. We're looking at what do we need to do for 23 and 23. Your Black Friday plans should have been done a month ago. So if your Black Friday plans and your holiday plans were not completed, you're behind the ball. So forecasting, looking at your budget, you should be looking at first quarter for next year, second quarter, and as discussed earlier with Mrs. Hoskins, talking about where do you want your business to be and start planning a strategy for that. And I mentioned before, making sure you have exclusivity to your brand, making sure that people want to shop at your brand. That they're like, oh, I know that these 5 boutiques have the same coat, but I want to go to this one because she treats us right. She's priced good. I love how her social media looks. She sent me an email. I saw her at this event. And this goes along not only with clothes, but if you're selling body butters, if you're selling candles, if you're selling an ebook, if you're selling insurance, you have to stand apart from the other people. So, I end this story, and I hope that you were able to pick up some of the knowledge that I gave. As I mentioned, right now, I have 2 locations, a team of 10. This is a family business. You see my sister and my nephew in the back working the booth. I have another son who's working the store in Yorktown. We have 8 malls that are interested in our store. We've been in Essence Fest. We've been at Bronner Brothers Hair Show in Miami. Make sure you look outside of your network of Indiana. There's billions of shows where you can sell your product outside of Indiana, outside of Illinois, and make some money. So make sure you look at different other products there. And yeah, and then I want to thank you guys for your time and letting me speak today, and I hope you got some nuggets, and I hope I warmed you up a little bit. Thank you. Oh, yeah.
Are there any questions?
Any questions for me? Yes. Oh, look at my picture here. I gotta take a picture. Okay, while you're walking over there, let me take this. I'm gonna do a little Lizzo video. It's not every day you see your picture on the stage. Yes, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Ashley Moore, and I just could totally resonate when you were talking about how entrepreneurship sometimes you're stubborn and it's like you just want to succeed. Like you don't want to just say that you failed. And I'm realizing that it's a process and it's a journey. So I just wanted to first thank you for your transparency and congratulations on, all of your expansion.
Thank you.
I really, really, really enjoyed your story.
Thank you.
So with that being said, I would like to know, how often do you examine, assess your business, take a look at it? Because I imagine there is a certain frequency
Yes.
in order for it to be effective. So it can't be like, oh, I'm looking at the business and I'm examining it in November of 2022 and I'm not looking at it again for another 18 months. So how often do you do that, and what is your process?
Yeah.
What is your process in examining your business and taking a look at it in detail and stepping back? I would love to know that.
Yes, great question. Thank you for asking. So when I'm working, when I first started and working in my business, I did it when I was doing my taxes. So it was a year later. But as I stepped away from and hiring a team and building it, it gave me more time to look at it. I would recommend that you're looking at it monthly. So every time for my meeting, I have a staff meeting. We meet weekly, but at the end of the month and the beginning of the month, we have a staff meeting to talk about business goals. What are our business goals for the next month? What worked, what didn't work, what trends we were seeing. And if you have the data, you have Shopify, you have, if you're using Square, if you're using Clover, all that data is provided to you. So it's important that you take the time to look at those reports and analyzing your business. If it's 1 day a week, if it's 1 day a month, if it's 1 day a month that you're looking at it and then prepping for the month, it's important that you're looking at those numbers all the time. What's selling? What isn't selling? What discount worked? If you're using email marketing, which is mandatory, I hope everyone here has email marketing. Klaviyo has a great automated system. You have to pay for it. I think it's like $40 a month, but it's a great marketing email system that helps you look at your data analytics. You can see who purchased from you, who opened up your newsletter, who put you on spam, and write those names down. But you can see all that information. All of the Shopify, Clover, Square, you could do text marketing. So you're able to see who's opening up your text, who isn't. So to answer your question, I would say once a month at least, if you're able to. And then the process is gather all your information. You want to look at what are your sales goals from last month. Did you achieve them? Yes? No? Why didn't you? What were the trends? Look at on Shopify, there's different aspects where you can look at your average order value. How many people looked at your website? Gather all the data, look at it, and then make an assessment of what's working and what isn't. And then don't wait 5 years like I did. Tweak, adjust what you needed to do to make sure that you're doing that. My team will tell you that if we don't meet goal for the month for our stores, we adjust. Okay, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna have an in-store event? Do we have to do more pop-ups? Do we have to increase the frequency of our marketing? You have to adjust and adapt and make sure that you have the right systems in place, like you heard other people say, to make sure that you're meeting or exceeding goal.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
There was something key that you really mentioned as far as being different than other businesses. Everybody's doing T-shirts, everybody's doing this and that. You have to think outside the box and bring something different. And customer service, to me, is one of the key things, because if you go to a booth or an event and you have a business or a table, they don't stand, so they're not acknowledging you.
Preach.
They want your money.
Preach.
So you have to stand. You have to be respectful. You have to give them your undivided attention. And sometimes businesses don't really realize how important customer service is. It is very important,
Yes.
if not one of the most important in your business. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Very good point. That's something that I preach, and I have a community of boutique owners that I work with. But you have to set your brand like a Zara, a Target. Even if you're the only employee, you have to set your brand to that level and treat your brand like that. So stepping behind the booth, engaging, supporting the other businesses, networking, that is key to stand apart from other people. And if you don't like this outfit or you like it, people need to be talking about you, and that's what's going to stand apart from the other boutiques. I know that was the last question, and thank you guys for just taking the time to listen to me. But I will be over there. I would love to meet you, talk to you, connect, and be able to share any other nuggets that I have and even learn from you guys. So thank you once again.